Analyzing the global impact of Trump's leadership, a comparative view. The re-election of Donald Trump has sparked significant discussion about the future of global diplomacy, international law, and U.S. foreign policy. Three insightful articles from The Guardian, the International Bar Association (IBA), and Foreign Affairs provide distinct yet complementary perspectives on how Trump's second term could reshape the world stage. Each piece offers a unique analysis of the potential consequences of Trump's policies, highlighting various aspects of his leadership style and the far-reaching effects it could have on global alliances, trade, and the balance of power. This video explores these articles and compares their arguments, revealing the shared concerns and divergent viewpoints that characterize their discussions on Trump's international influence. Disrupting the global order. A central theme in all three articles is the disruptive nature of Trump's leadership. In The Guardian, Simon Tisdall argues that Trump's approach to diplomacy has made international relations more unpredictable. His disregard for traditional norms and alliances has raised concerns about the stability of the global order. Similarly, the IBA article focuses on how Trump's nationalistic policies have alienated traditional U.S. allies, weakening multilateral institutions such as NATO and the United Nations. These institutions, which were once the cornerstone of international cooperation, have found themselves challenged by Trump's preference for bilateral dealings and his skepticism of global governance. Foreign Affairs takes a more tactical approach but acknowledges the broader implications of Trump's foreign policy. It suggests that the second term of Trump's presidency will deepen the transactional nature of U.S. diplomacy, with global issues being addressed only through the lens of immediate U.S. benefits. This shift from long-term strategic planning to short-term gain could have profound effects on the global political landscape, where stability and cooperation are often prioritized over immediate national interests. Erosion of democratic norms. Another significant theme explored in the articles is the erosion of democratic norms. The Guardian is particularly vocal about this, warning that Trump's leadership is emboldening authoritarian regimes around the world. His dismissive attitude toward international human rights and his preference for strongman tactics have undermined global efforts to promote democracy. Tisdall argues that world leaders must learn to engage with Trump's style of governance, but he also suggests that they should work to counter his anti-democratic impulses. The IBA article expands on this by focusing on the legal implications of Trump's actions. It highlights how his skepticism of international law could undermine human rights treaties and trade agreements, potentially leading to legal challenges that destabilize the global system. While it shares Tisdall's concern about the decline of democratic norms, the IBA piece places more emphasis on the institutional damage Trump could inflict, particularly in terms of international legal frameworks that govern trade, conflict resolution, and human rights. Foreign Affairs also reflects on the potential decline of democratic values under Trump's leadership. It suggests that his second term will likely be even more extreme, as he consolidates power within his inner circle and marginalizes moderate voices. This could further undermine democratic processes both within the U.S. and globally, as Trump's disdain for international norms could lead to greater political isolationism and an erosion of global cooperation. A transactional approach to foreign policy. One of the most defining aspects of Trump's leadership is his transactional approach to foreign policy. This is discussed in all three articles, although each focuses on different consequences. The Guardian emphasizes the risks of Trump's policy towards Ukraine, NATO, and Europe. Tisdall warns that by viewing global alliances through the lens of what the U.S. can immediately gain, Trump undermines the long-term stability and trust that these alliances are built upon. The IBA article echoes this sentiment, focusing on how Trump's willingness to violate multilateral agreements could lead to legal disputes, trade wars, and diplomatic standoffs. His approach is seen as a serious threat to the legal frameworks that have governed international relations for decades, potentially unraveling the global order that has helped maintain peace and cooperation since the end of World War II. Foreign Affairs provides a more systematic analysis, suggesting that Trump's second term will intensify this transactional approach, as he surrounds himself with loyalists who prioritize personal loyalty over diplomatic expertise. This could result in more erratic and unpredictable policy shifts, especially regarding trade negotiations and military alliances. The article predicts that Trump's foreign policy will become more aggressive, particularly in his dealings with China and other adversaries, and that the U.S. will continue to withdraw from multilateral agreements in favor of bilateral deals that prioritize short-term gains. Global implications. A more fragmented world. While all three articles focus on the internal U.S. policy shifts under Trump, they also discuss the broader implications for global stability. The Guardian argues that Trump's approach has already resulted in the disintegration of traditional alliances, and this trend could accelerate in his second term. European countries, for example, may feel compelled to take greater responsibility for their own security as the US becomes more unpredictable and less engaged in global affairs. This could lead to a fragmentation of the Western Bloc, as countries within NATO and the EU may prioritize their own interests over collective security. The EBA article explores similar concerns but places more focus on the legal and economic consequences of Trump's policies. Trade wars, especially with China, could destabilize global markets, and the dismantling of international agreements on climate change, human rights, and arms control could set back global progress in these areas. Furthermore, as the US retreats from its traditional role as a global leader, other countries, particularly China and Russia, may take on greater influence, further polarizing international relations. Foreign Affairs offers a more pragmatic view, suggesting that while Trump's approach could be more extreme in the second term, it is unlikely to completely dismantle global institutions. However, his policies could lead to a more fragmented world, where countries act unilaterally and international cooperation becomes more difficult. This could result in a less predictable, more volatile global political environment, where alliances are based on short-term interests rather than long-term commitments. Conclusion. In conclusion, the articles from The Guardian, the EBA, and Foreign Affairs provide valuable insights into the potential consequences of Donald Trump's second term on global diplomacy, democracy, and international law. While each article presents a unique perspective, The Guardian focusing on moral and political concerns, the EBA on legal and institutional impacts, and Foreign Affairs on policy mechanics, they all share the view that Trump's leadership has disrupted the global order in profound ways. As the world moves forward, leaders and institutions will need to adapt to this new, more unpredictable political landscape, with the future of international cooperation and democracy hanging in the balance.